Welcome back, everyone, to another About Team segment, and this is our NHL topic. And today we're just going to be kind of giving a quick recap of yesterday's games with a touch of the preview for tonight's games for a series that hasn't even started, as we were just talking about, and also Game 2 of the Bruins versus Florida Panthers. I'll start off with. Which game do you want to start off with from yesterday? Because both games were great. OTs were needed. OT.
I want to save the Rangers game for last because I think that was the best game of the playoffs so far. So let's go into the Avalanche Dallas game.
Yeah. So I was getting ready to go to bed after the first period. Obviously, I picked Dallas in 6. Nick picked Avs in 6. I just thought Dallas's depth was too much. But one thing that Colorado is so good at is on the power play, and that's what brought them back into this game. Dallas was up 3-0, almost went up 4-0 at the end of the first period. I forget what Avs player saved it, but they were able to stop it from going in. And because if it was 4-0, I mean, there's no way the Avalanche can come back from that. But it was 3-0. Dallas had all the momentum. Jamie Benn was doing his thing. Just Ryan Suter even scored a goal. I mean, how often do you see Ryan Suter as a Minnesota Wild fan? He's not my favorite. Obviously got bought out from the team, but he got a goal. Dallas was clicking. It looked like they were carrying the momentum in from beating the Vegas Golden Knights. But the Avalanche you can't take penalties against the Colorado Avalanche because what did we say about the Avalanche that they had a big advantage at is that top line with Nathan MacKinnon. And when you get them boys on a power play, one less Dallas star player, it's almost like a guaranteed goal, it feels like. And that's what brought them back in to make it a 3-2 game. Obviously, Colorado then quickly ties it up heading into the third. And then, obviously, we get an OT winner. And it seems like, for whatever reason, going back to last year, I know how we talked about how the Mavs can't win a game 1. Dallas can't win a game 1 for shit. I mean, you see – last year, Minnesota takes game 1 from them. Seattle takes game 1 from them. Vegas takes game 1 from them. This year, Vegas wins game 1. Colorado wins game 1. Dallas, you can't be putting yourself into these holes, especially when you have home ice. And you're just making it harder on yourself, guys. I mean,
it wears them down.
And this one's a demoralizing loss. It's a demoralizing loss when you have this in the back 3-0. Shout out to Wyatt Johnson, though. That dude's been a beast this whole playoffs for Dallas Stars. Fans out there, it's frustrating, man, especially when I have money on this team winning the whole thing. I would at least like a 1-0 lead in a series once in a while. But credit to Colorado. This is also proves why I think the playoff format has to change, because this is one of the hardest paths for a team to go through, and facing a Vegas team and a Colorado Avalanche team, then whoever wins the Canucks Oilers series, that's not going to, you eventually got to play all these teams. I get it, but I feel like there should be it should be a 1 through 8 seeding throughout the whole thing. But shout out to the Avalanche. They played some great hockey. They were so resilient, and that championship pedigree that you were talking about paid off in the series. Not panicking, even down 3-0 to a team that most people think is better than you this year. Shout out to Colorado, man. That's all I'll say about
that. Their stars showed up to play. Georgiev, he shut it down when he had to, and Makar and MacKinnon both, Makar brought him within 1, MacKinnon ties it up. So, those guys, and Nichushkin, 8th goal of the playoffs, that's ridiculous. So, I think they can just hit you so quick. Dallas hit them quick.
That's Winnipeg's defense, though. Don't take too much into
it. That's potentially the Vezina winner, though, against Winnipeg. And now,
I'm just saying
Jake Oettinger, who
Winnipeg's defense missing. Yeah, no, Jake Oettinger.
He elevates, but obviously so do the Avalanche. Like we were just talking about with the Celtics series and Tatum, how we want to see him elevate when he needs to. That's exactly what the Avalanche Stars did. They elevated when they need to.
Yeah. With that being said, though, I'm still not panicking. I think overall, through most of this game, Dallas, I think, just needs to remain that consistency and not get comfortable. And But this one thing about Dallas is they always play better when they're down seems like they like putting themselves in these positions. So we'll see what happens in game 2. I'm not pressing any panic button yet. Still Stars in 6 for me. But you got to believe, or at least 7 now. But I got narrative until you can't. So Stars in 6. Because we saw last series, Vegas stole both on the road. Dallas stole.
Yep, you never know. That's the beauty of playoff hockey is you never know.
Toss up. But with that being said, unless there's anything you want to add to this game, we can move it to.
I mean, I missed most of that game because of the game we're about to talk about.
Yeah, and man, it's only been 2 games, but what a series it's been. Rangers, Hurricanes, and I do firmly believe, because I think you watch more of this than me, so you'll be able to talk more about this. I just do firmly believe that if Carolina won this game, they would have won the series. When you go into double OT and if you lose at home, I feel like that would have been just too demoralizing. But for Carolina, you played so hard both of these games and not to be able to come out with any series tied, or you could arguably be leading the series 2-0 the way you played both games. It's just a great series. And like I said, this is like a Stanley Cup final and why the playoffs need to change. This is actually more of a definition of why, because these are the 2 best teams in the I would say the Eastern Conference, I should say, in my opinion, at least. And I know Florida maybe has a case, but we'll see. It was just great. It's great playoff hockey, though, from both teams. Both teams really want it.
Yeah, this was a fantastic game back and forth. I was watching with my dad from the third period on, and just the pace of it was back and forth, edge of your seat from the start of the third period to the end of the third period. There was always scoring chances. The start of the first OT, like they were peppering pucks. Shesterkin played unbelievable. I mean, I think he has now 28 or 29 straight playoff games allowing three goals or fewer, which is he's coming up on the record. Yeah. So he's been unbelievable his entire career in the playoffs. But yeah, he showed it tonight. Last night, sorry. And in overtime, the Panthers, you can't say they didn't have their chances. They had 2 power plays. They had one power play in each overtime and just couldn't find anything. And that's a testament to Shesterkin. That's a testament to the Rangers defense as a whole, their penalty kill. But also, I know they were talking about it, the commentators, you can't score on the power play if you don't shoot the puck. And I'm pretty sure that their double overtime power play, they were just kind of passing the puck around, trying to get too cute with it. You got to start throwing shots on net at that point and just hope for a tip in or some deflection or something like that. Maybe Shesterkin misses it. But, yeah, I mean, I think it is very demoralizing to fight that hard. And it's demoralizing, too, because you peppered Shesterkin and gave him everything you could for pretty much 3 periods. Like, it was tied, and he was just a stone wall. Like nothing got through him, nothing phased him. So that's kind of demoralizing seeing that. It's like we cannot rattle this guy no matter what. And Anderson played good. He played good. He didn't see nearly as many shots as him, but that I do agree with you. I think if the Hurricanes took this game, they very likely could have taken the series. But now it's going to be very tough to come back down to it.
Yeah. These playoff hockey losses like this, but wins like this can be so, demoralizing or help you reach that next level as a team when pushing like the Rangers did. Believe me, as anyone who's listening to this and is a Minnesota Wild fan knows the Matt Zuccarello, Kirill Kaprizov, you can't pass the puck into the net. You have to shoot it. You have to put up shots. I don't know what it is with hockey players trying to get too cute. A point's a point, regardless of outcomes, whether it's scrappy in front of the net rebounding or a beautiful pass. It's still a goal, still an assist, no matter what. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm a Carolina fan, that power play was really frustrating. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Carolina played hearts out. I mean, if you're Carolina, the one thing you can't hang your hat on is you've hung with the President's Trophy team in the first 2 games on the road. You're going back home where Carolina has always been a great home team. So if they win these next 2, it's still series on. But if they lose one of these 2, series is over. But it will be interesting to see what happens and how Carolina responds, knowing that they're basically their season's on the line, game 3. I think
3
that.
I think a home loss for them would be too demoralizing to come back. If you see the Rangers coming to your place and beat you there, I don't think they can.
Yeah, and we saw. I think it was 2 years ago. Carolina and New York faced off. Carolina won the first two at home. New York won the next two at home. Carolina won Game 3 at home, or Game 5. New York won Game 6, and then New York stole Game 7 from Carolina.
I believe
That was the year. That was the year Carolina and Boston. It was all home winners. So Carolina was like 7-1 in playoff home games. So if Carolina can just hang in there, maybe it's a reverse thing and they steal Game 7 in New York. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, no series is ruled out. It's been great playoff hockey so far, and really, I'm rooting for the Hurricanes to have this series continue because this has been such fun hockey. But it'll be interesting. Unless there's anything you want to add to that, we can get into a quick preview of tonight.
No, we touched on it. Like I said, I think that was the best game of the playoffs so far.
Yeah,
I'm very excited to see the next few games between those teams, and I hope it does go 7 because I don't want it. As good as the games are, it's still 2-0. Like I don't think the series scoreboard shows how good these games are.
But that's the problem, man. If you're Carolina, it's demoralizing. You're like, shit, we may have played better both these games, or at least one game. And you're like, this series should be at least 1-1, but it says New York Rangers lead 2-0.
I still think it has 7 written all over it.
Definitely could. With that being said, so tonight, I don't want to call it a must-win for Florida, but it's almost a must-win. Boston, like we talked about in the recap, and it wasn't really a 5-1 loss, but Boston won 5-1, and they won that game. So if I'm Florida, you got to come out with energy like your season's on the line tonight, because there's a difference between losing 2 on the road and losing 2 at home. Because if you lose two in Florida, going back to Boston, you're almost guaranteed to lose 1 in Boston. I feel like the way that Boston has played at home most of the playoffs, they're always very good at home. I'm just going to trust my gut here and say that the Panthers win tonight just because of desperation. But, I mean, I don't know.
Yep. They're going to be playing desperate. Going to your point about the Bruins playing at home, I know it's like a whole thing, like, oh, Boston's such an electric environment, TD Garden. I mean, I saw something, I think in the middle of the Toronto series when Toronto was starting to come back in the series, there was a stat that since the Bruins won the Stanley Cup in 2011, they at that point were 33-33 at home in the playoffs, which I think is terrible. And I know that's 500, but
at first I thought you said 33, like 433, so they hadn't lost a game.
No.
Oh, never mind.
No,
yeah, thinking about that makes sense.
500.
Yeah, thinking about that actually makes sense. I think they went 2-2 with the Maple Leafs last year in Florida. They lost, I think, 3 at home.
They lost Game 7 at home. They lost Game 7 at home in the Stanley
Cup.
Game
5 at home, Game 2 at home. Yeah, so Boston has had some experiences, but asking to win both would I think be a much different task than asking to win one. So I think Florida knows they need to have this one if they don't want to go down 3-1. Because if they go down 2-0, they're most likely walking out of there 3-1 because they could obviously win one. But I don't know. If you're Florida, you don't want to lose both at home.
Yeah, definitely. You never want to get swept on your home ice. But I think the Bruins, the way they need to play is they need to play every single game like their backs are against the wall, because we saw it against the Leafs where they went up 3-1, got too cute, ended up going 7, and that's when they played with their backs against the wall. And the same thing against Florida last year where they got too cute, and all of a sudden Florida punches back, and now you're like, oh shit, like now we have to play. Like you got to play like that every single game, and I think they did Game 1, and I trust that Montgomery tells them that they need to keep that same.
No Monty meltdown.
Yeah, no Monty meltdown, but just play hard tonight. I can see Florida taking it, unfortunately. Maybe in like a 2-1 game.
See how Swayman plays.
Yeah. It's been all on Swayman. If Swayman keeps playing the way he's playing, the Bruins will be in the game no matter what.
Might come down to the goalies. Yeah, like Bobrovsky, does he bounce back from this? 5-goal performance. It will be very interesting. I think if Boston wins this, there's no way they lose the series, but we'll see.
Well, I'm not going to speculate on that, but
when's the parade, Bruins?
No, there's no parade until you win it. There's no parade till you win it, guys. But yeah, I mean the Bruins can play like shit and still be in the game if Swayman plays the way he plays. So I trust him. I'm expecting him to go tonight. I think at this point Montgomery's just going to ride him. He's just going to let him go.
Yeah, but do you think they'll ever play Linus?
I think they might if they're either up in a series big or want to give Swayman a rest or something. Because I mean, this year I think Ullmark was 3-0 against Florida, so he kind of had their number this year. But he's just going with the hot hand in the playoffs, and I get it. After seeing last game too, especially, I think he had his most saves in the playoff this year. I think he had like 39 saves, something like that. So keep riding with him. You know, I'm hoping for the best, but I can see us going back to Boston 1-1.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens. And then obviously tonight we got Canucks Oilers game 1. Just so excited for Vancouver. They haven't been in this spot since it's felt like the Sedin brothers. If we go way back, Bruins Canucks, one of the best series I've ever watched in the finals. It's going to be interesting. I know that atmosphere will be lit in Vancouver. We have that series both going 7, so it'll just be fun to see the depth of Vancouver versus the superstars of Edmonton. Canucks in 7 for me, Oilers in 7 for you. So we'll see how game 1 takes itself and what are our takeaways from these games.
I think just like the Bruins game tonight, I think this series is going to come down to goaltending because we talked about a little bit how this might be a very high-scoring series, sorry. And if all of a sudden for a game or two, one of the goalies, just shuts the other offense down, that's going to steal you 2 games because either side put up 4 or 5 goals in a night.
The thing with Vancouver is Demko is still injured, but even with that, like Nashville, they held to 0 goals in the Game 6, critical Game 6 to clinch the series. It's going to be interesting. I think it wouldn't surprise me, like I said, I think in the preview, if Edmonton, one of these games wins like a 7-2 bat, like they just trounce on them. But I trust Vancouver. Overall, I think eventually play itself out. The defense, even then their backups have shown they can hang in there. So it'll be exciting to watch. But I'm going to go with the team that I just feel like is being slept on a little bit in the Canucks because people forget they were in the race for best team, one of the best, or they still are one of the best teams in the league.
Were they the number 1 in the West?
No, that was Dallas.
That's right. Yep.
We got to talk about how Dallas's road is like a 1 seed. That's what I was saying is one of the most difficult I've ever seen. It goes to show you how good the West is, I guess.
Going back to your point about the seeding, I kind of get it. But at the same time, I think whoever you face, like say second, third, or Stanley Cup final, that's the best team left. Even if they're not seeded like that. I think
depends though.
I think the Panthers last year were the best team in the East going into the finals. Like you earn it. In my opinion, that's the beauty of 7-game series is you find out who the best team is, even if it doesn't reflect the seeding and the record. You get 7 inside.
In my opinion, I think if you look at Carolina and New York series, I think both teams are better than either the Bruins or Panthers. And I think the winner of that series will beat the Bruins or Panthers in 5 games. I don't even think it's that really, or maybe 6. I think those teams, that's a 1-3 matchup versus what the Florida and Bruins is 2-5. I feel like it should have been Bruins, Rangers, Florida, Carolina. I feel like that would have been. I don't know. It's a debate, but you're right. Rules are rules. We'll see what happens. The hottest. All about who gets hot.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I saw it last year. I pretty much have freaking PTSD from last year, and just.
If you're Boston, you're like, shit, we choked this series, but then they waxed Toronto and Carolina in like a sweep.
That team, that Florida team, from Game 5 from the Bruins series until now, flipped it. They just flipped a switch or something, and they are now just a buzzsaw. But, yeah,
Hey, Bruins are rewriting history this series. Maybe.
I hope so. I'm taking it one game at a time, though. Take it
Yeah.
one game at a time. Don't look forward. Don't
It's true.
don't do what I did last year and say, "Oh, who's going to beat us in the final?" I don't know what teams can compete with us in the West. It's going to be really tough. And then all of a sudden, we're sitting on our
Hey,
couch.
you
Playoff.
took the day off from work for the parade months in advance.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that being said, though, I think that it'll be interesting to see how these games play out tonight, like we previewed. Because playoff hockey's always fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, this is the best time of the year as a sports fan. We got also maybe on Friday we'll talk about tomorrow NFL schedule. At least is speculated to come out, so it'll be interesting to see some of the primetime games.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I think I'll sum up our NHL recap video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this kind of content. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
See ya.